Hello class, my name is Elijah Kohanim, and our YouTube presentation is on cloud computing. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is the use of computing resources, typically hardware and software, which are delivered as a service over a network, which is usually the internet. The name comes from the use of a cloud-shaped symbol as an abstraction for the complex infrastructure it contains in a systems diagram. Cloud computing entrusts remote services with a user's data, which is made of software and computation. Users access cloud-based applications through a web browser, lightweight desktop or mobile app, while the business software and users' data are stored on services at a remote location. Cloud computing relies on shared resources to achieve coherence, which is similar to an electricity grid because it provides the utility to your network without having to purchase the entire software. Why was cloud computing developed? Cloud computing was developed to allow enterprises to get their applications up and running faster. With improved manageability and less maintenance, it enables IT to more rapidly adjust resources to meet fluctuating and unpredictable business demand. What are the benefits of cloud computing? Device and location independence. It enables users to access systems using a web browser regardless of their location or what device they are using. As infrastructure is off-site, typically provided by a third party and accessed via the internet, users can connect from anywhere in the world. Performance is monitored, and consistent and loosely coupled architectures are constructed using web services as the system interface. Security would improve due to centralization of data, increased security-focused resources. The complexity of security is greatly increased when data is distributed over a wider area or a greater number of devices and in multi-tenant systems that are being shared by unrelated users. Private cloud installations that are in part motivated by users' desire to retain control over the infrastructure and avoid losing control of information security. Maintenance of cloud computing applications is easier because they do not need to be installed on each user's computer and can be accessed from different places around the world.
Welcome to Hardware and Availability. A server is only as good as its hardware. When shopping around for a server, it's easy to get drawn in by the software, especially if you're looking to lease a remote server. You may never see the hardware in person, but that doesn't mean you should neglect or be ignorant of its technical details. When you shop for hardware, you want to consider factors like processing power, memory, storage capacity, and backup storage. You should also consider data-centered security features such as cooling technology, environmental responsibility, and network infrastructure. Some hardware can have misleading naming systems. You cannot tell exactly how powerful an Intel processor is just by looking at the name or number of gigahertz. Some questions in considering server hardware involve: does the data center provide backup power? Is the cooling energy efficient? Is the hardware easily swappable in case of failure? Is there any redundancy in place for unforeseen disasters? These are all questions you should ask about your server and its hardware before you buy it or lease it.
Hi, my name is Fletcher, and right now I'm going to talk about the history of cloud computing. While many people have heard about cloud computing, many do not realize how old this concept actually is. The concept of cloud computing was born in the 1960s from the ideas of pioneers like J.C.R. Licklider, instrumental in the development of ARPANET, envisioning computation in the form of a global network, and John McCarthy, who coined the term artificial intelligence, framing computation as a public utility. Even though the idea of cloud computing has essentially been around since the 1960s, the term was not coined until the year 1997 by an information systems professor by the name of Ramnath Chilapa. Businesses caught on to the concept of cloud computing quickly when they realized the numerous benefits that it would create for their firms. Companies began switching from hardware to cloud services because they were attracted to benefits like a reduction in capital costs, as well as an easing in IT staffing issues. Businesses were able to improve their environmental responsibility with these new systems by lowering their carbon emissions, which in turn could potentially lead to the ability to further take part in green marketing. In 2009, revenue for cloud services was just over $58.6 billion. In 2011, IT spending is expected to top $2.6 trillion. And with cloud computing accounting for just 2.3% of the global market, there's plenty of room for growth.
My name is Grant Casey, and I will be discussing the future of cloud computing. Cloud computing as a technology trend has caught up fast in recent years. It has revolutionized IT in a way never seen before. It has clearly changed how the traditional software works for businesses. The exceptional rise in the number of mobile devices, including tablets, computers, iPhones, and smartphones. Many of these devices are used to scale business processes, communications, and other functions. To make cloud computing useful to business owners and employees, the cloud is taking a mobile approach. More than ever before, organizational design is incorporating cloud computing migration elements, simply meaning the need for optimal cloud experiences is on the top of the list of the companies that are adopting this technology. This is a trend that is expected to grow more as cloud computing expands into different industries.
Hi, my name is John Fletcher, and today I'll be talking about businesses in cloud computing. What businesses use cloud computing and what they use it for. The use of cloud computing is no doubt growing rapidly in the business world. Many businesses are either beginning to adopt the use of cloud computing or have already done so. In 2009, IBM asked 3,000 CIOs from around the world if they expected their companies to use cloud computing in the next 3 to 5 years. Only 33% said yes. When this study was redone in 2011, the number that said yes increased to 60%. Small businesses, medium businesses, and startup companies are all major users of cloud computing. Cloud computing allows all these different kinds of businesses to maintain infrastructure without the necessity of buying hardware and serving large support teams. Cloud computing allows for quick growth in resources in times of rising demand. This is very useful for small businesses which have limited resources. In contrast, cloud computing also allows for a smooth way to reduce capacity in times of decreasing demand with little shrink costs. These qualities are especially enticing to startup businesses, who can get a lot of resources by using cloud computing without having to make any potentially damaging major investments. Insurance companies and banks are finding that cloud computing is faster and more efficient than customary development and test environments. They are building their own private clouds and testing for development. Many telecommunications companies not only use cloud computing to upgrade their IT services, but also are major sellers of cloud services. Of these companies, the biggest provider of cloud is Verizon Wireless, who purchased cloud services seller Terramark for $1.4 billion in January 2011. Even the government uses cloud computing. For many government institutions whose funding has been reduced in the recent economic downturn, cloud computing has been a great resource, allowing many establishments to cut costs without having to give up vital tech resources. In some cases, governments have been known to install cloud computing networks in a certain area to promote economic growth. In Wuxi, China, a government-founded cloud computing center was installed to encourage software development and profitable economic activity.